Welcome to Not This Time. I'm Kayla Birch, and this is where we stop the cycle and choose differently. Hey guys, I'm so excited for this one. So in this episode, what we're going to do is you're going to hear a conversation with my friend, Annie Whitney, where we go deep into what it actually really means to stay in integrity, especially in the coaching and mentoring space. But this is not just for coaches and this is not just for mentors. It's really for if you've ever found yourself like second guessing your decisions, outsourcing your power to someone else's strategy or somebody else's thoughts and their beliefs or their expectations of you, or really wondering if you're ever following what feels true to you. This conversation is going to hit because it's about discernment. It's about calling back your voice. And it's about really actually knowing the difference between performing something and truly embodying it. So let's get into it. Hey everyone, welcome back to Not This Time. Today it's very exciting. I have my dear friend and guest here today, Annie Whitney, and we're going to be diving deep in some topics and some things that have really been resonating with us lately. I can't wait to bring it to you. She is a leadership and business mentor, and so she knows what she's doing. She's been through I'm going to let her introduce herself, but she's been through it. She's grown. She knows what she's doing. She's done the inner work. She has led herself in multiple different ways in business, and it has been one of the things that I have loved watching her and getting to know her and really being influenced by the way that she shows up online with integrity, which is why I'm so excited to dive into this conversation today. So Annie, thank you so much for being here with me today.
Hi, Kayla. I am so freaking excited. And for all of you out there, we have rescheduled this several different times and we're like, we are making this happen. This conversation is so important and meant to happen. So I'm Annie Whitney, business leadership mentor, and my background as a VP of a billion-dollar corporation is something that I've really woven threads in of my leadership in the online space. And so this business really came about organically. I'm also a certified run coach on the side, and I started a business to help moms postpartum to help come back home to themselves. And naturally it grew legs and organically this business came to life. And what's interesting is that like every single thing that I've done and created in my life is very mission driven, whereas that was like helping women come home to themselves. And that really is the premise of my business. There's so many strategies. There's so many, follow this 7-step framework and you're going to scale to $1 million. There's so much just shiny marketing out there that yes, marketing works. I think there's like very nuanced there of like manipulative marketing versus an integrity marketing, which we can get into. But I think that is really the foundation of my work is making sure that yes, you have the tactical business strategies. Yes, there are strategies you need to understand to scale in business, but also threading those through your stories, your experience, and your genius, because we all have something just so beautiful to share. And those stories are what paint that picture for ourselves and our audience.
Yeah. And I think that's such a powerful thing you bring up the marketing aspect of it, because we do play this game of it's marketing, right? We are playing a game on an online business or brick and mortar business, right? You're getting people in your doors, your virtual doors or your physical doors. And what I see the most, and you know how I work with my clients. I work with my clients in this deep inner space. Like their world is only, their external world is only a reflection of the work that they've done in their internal world. So it's a really powerful space. And what I see so often when clients come to me is they've been burnt, they're exhausted, they don't know which way to turn, they don't know how to grow a business, they don't know their own voice. And what they're hearing is all these other people telling them that they're not growing because this very specific thing isn't happening, or they're not visible because of, I don't know, it's plays on everyone's fears, or if you just have this structure. And then we've had that for a really long time of you just need this 5-step strategy and you'll blow up. Now what I'm seeing is now we're going to another direction where it now talks about, well, now if you just embody your true self, then you'll blow up. And
yes,
so now
it's the pendulum.
Yes, it's swung so far in the other direction that now people, all they think that they have to do is just show up authentically and they're going to make $1 billion day. You know, we're told that. And so for you, what's that been like navigating that? One, just from the external, like you have to do it this way or you're not going to be successful. And then also now that we have clients that believe these things to be true as well. So kind of just walk me through what that process is like for you.
So I think sharing a story about myself is so powerful because I think a lot of people are like, no, now that I'm here, it's like, I'm not going to share that because it's like, I don't want to look small. I don't want to look like anything other than like this powerful leader. And I remember it was not that long ago, maybe like 14, 16 months ago, early last year. And I was listening to this podcast of a mentor I really love and respect. And she said it was just one of those things where you've probably heard it a billion times, but it landed so much. She was just like, you truly don't have to be anyone but yourself to land clients. Like you don't have to look like me. Your branding doesn't have to be aesthetic. You can have a sloppy feed. You, as long as it's true to you and you're lit the fuck up about it, you can find success. And I think it's like there's so many variations of that. And it was like I had this moment where I was like, shit, she's right. I have been trying to like emulate, and whether it's conscious or subconscious, you look up to people. And so consciously it's like you kind of start emulating some of it. So it was like I had been trying to find brand colors and trying to be bolder when it's like that maybe isn't my voice. Like I am very bold and strong, but I'm soft spoken. Like I have energy, but I'm not loud. And I think it was like this piece of like, okay, you can actually just be you and that gets to be enough. And so I think that's one side of that pendulum, right? It's understanding that's enough. But I think that like when clients come and work with me, I think that was my permission slip. So then when clients come and work with me, it's like it's one way or the other. They believe that they don't yet have the strategy that they need and they're looking outside of themselves and they're constantly like, Annie, help me with my messaging. Yes, you need the marketing to get people in your door, but when messaging, the frequency behind it, you've probably been online, whether it doesn't matter what type of marketing, and read someone's words and you're like, yeah, but I don't even believe it. And I don't know why. Something in my body is telling me like this is BS, or like the person writing it doesn't even believe it. And so it's like it has to be the identity piece, the leadership identity, the self-belief, the embodiment, and the messaging and the marketing and the strategy. They have to work together and the pendulum can't be swinging all either which way. And so I agree with you. It's like people come in one way or the other. The pendulum's either swung of like, well, I'm showing up every day. Like I'm embodied in my work. And I'm like, you're not even selling. Like I haven't seen you sell in like 3 weeks. Like what are people buying? Or it's like, I'm doing all the strategies. I'm doing all the things. And I'm like, I don't think you even believe that you're worth this amount that you're selling it for. So let's actually dig into that. Let's actually find the core thing that's being masked by all the other conditioning that we've been through.
Yeah. And that's so true. And it brings up this other point where I'm a bit on like a my high horse about. I'll just be real honest about it. Like,
I love when Kayla gets on her high horse.
but it's about skill. And I think that that's a big part of this too, is that there's a lot of lack of integrity when it comes to skill and how people can actually hold people through the spaces and the transformations and the things that they're going through. And that's not oftentimes talked about. And I think that that wears a lot of times where I get like my ick factor when I'm watching something, and it comes from like my mentor lens and like my protectiveness, you know, of like I want people to be educated on what they're buying. And so the skill isn't always backed by the messaging. This is where I get really like where the lack of integrity is. Some people are magicians when it comes to marketing. They are like magic, and they can say what they need to say and they'll play on your pain point. Even if they say they're not playing on your pain point, that's what they're doing. They're playing on the pain point that makes you think that you're not enough, so you can become this person that is enough. That's what marketing is. And again, we have to play that game. Messaging is huge, right? We have to get people in the door, but now we have to get people in the door and then actually do what we say we can do. That's where the lack of integrity is. It's not the marketing part. You're a genius marketer. I've came to you for my own messaging. Like that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about once they do that, and we capture them and you take their 25, 50, 75, 100K, what are you giving them on the other side? Where's the integrity of in this, the lack of the skill and the transformation? That's where I'm really seeing a massive like disconnect in the coaching industry, mentoring industry, and online business industry, really.
This is so interesting because I don't know if you're into human design at all. I'm a generator 1-3, which means mastery. Like I have to master something before I can market myself and really back myself. And this is really a blessing and a curse for me, where it's like, I can't fake anything. And so I'm not going to show up and be like, I can do this unless I can. And it's like with working with mentors previously, it's like, just show up and say this. And I'm like, but it's not it's not 100% true. And so it's like, it's not about the certifications, it's about the hands-on experience. And I think it's like, people get this twisted where it's like, you can be a beginner, just don't say you can do something that you can't. What are you good at, and what can you actually help someone with? What's your own transformation, and speaking to that, and then being transparent about where you are and who you've helped. And so yes, I agree wholeheartedly with like, okay, this is what is actually happening in this container. No, I can't guarantee results because I don't know your work ethic, your grit, where your mindset's at, where you started from. And not everyone's starting at the same place. And I think that's context that's missed so often, where in my containers, I don't say you need to have a certain not price point, but like income amount, because you could be making 6 figures a month and you are not my ideal client because you're not willing to do the inner work that it takes that actually like transform and be successful as the woman that I desire to work with. This isn't just about money. This is about something so much deeper for me. It's impact, it's mission driven. I just got goosebumps. It's like becoming, and it's not even becoming a better version of yourself, which I also don't like. It's like as if that's assuming you're not already an incredible human. It's just like I like to look at it as like this journey. You get to experience this journey of like, where's life taking you? Where's your business taking you? So this grew legs a little bit, but yes, I wholeheartedly agree. It's like, what are you saying you deliver? Because I've been in spaces where I show up and I get that things can shift. I get that life and it's shades of gray and nuance, but are you saying that you deliver hands-on support and then you get in your space and I ask for feedback and you're like, you know what to do? I'll stop there. I could go on forever.
No, trust me, this one gets me, and it's because it's such a powerful thing, and when you dissect it down and you really start to explore this and understand it, you realize like we're all being driven by a level of fear, and that is again, we keep coming back to marketing, but that is what everyone has to recognize when you are doing your due diligence, when you are looking to sign up with a coach or a mentor, you have to do this level of, is this heart led? Is this for me? Will this collapse my time? And then also, does this person fucking know what they're talking about? Other than just them skyrocketing because their lottery ticket was pulled, right? And it
And I've
just
seen
happened.
that too.
Yes. And then now they tell you that they can you can do exactly like them, but you're not them. You are not them. You don't have their life, right? There's so many different nuances that it's not going to make their strategy and what they did happen for you overnight. And that's what I want people to really understand. Like, bringing it back to like, not this time, like not this time. I don't fall for these tactics this time because
Yep.
I actually know myself. I know what drives my decision to overbuy, to keep signing up for mastermind after mastermind after mastermind. And I also understand maybe for the other side of this, of people who under invest in themselves. So we have the over investor and the under investor. Yes. So it's like the under investor, it's like, I don't feel like I'm worthy of this. I don't feel like I can have this, or I don't have this, or I know everything. Those are also, all of these things are gateways into reflection into self of what do I need to choose instead? What drives my decisions to say yes over and over and over and keep falling for these $33 offers, $500 offers, $50,000 offers, wherever you're at on that scale of investing? What drives that? And again, kind of bringing this back, our whole conversation we talked about was like kind of integrity, but we can't change the integrity of everyone else. We can notice it and we can talk about it, and then we can take our awareness and we can make different decisions for ourselves. So what's that journey been like for you? Like for because you're a woman when I look at, and one of the words I would describe you would be a woman of integrity. That would just be, how it's
That's
just
like
something
the
that
best
comes up.
compliment
Yes, it is
ever.
just like the thing. It's just natural. It's just something that like I feel when I speak to you. And so what's that been like for you? And maybe even like a moment where you found yourself out of integrity, again, like, and then you decided, oh no, like that's not for me. This is how I get back in alignment with that. Cause I think that's what a lot of my listeners fall into is
Sure.
like
So
in and out.
I think there's a couple of things that come to me. One is when I found myself giving my power away and the way that I was investing with other mentors as if they had the answers to my problems. And that's a lot of pressure on someone else too, not problems, but like solutions for me of like, I'm going to click this button. I'm going to invest in this person. They are where I want to go. So they must be able to show me how to go there. And I think that that's just a very uneducated place to be in my part, but I had to go through that. It's like, I'm so grateful for that lesson because now I can provide that context in my marketing of just like, you don't just get to invest and make 13K, because you press the button to invest in this space. And so I remember a time that was, last summer, not even that long ago, where I was investing from a place of like, I know I need to invest in myself. I want the support. I desire the support. I've always kind of invested in myself in all facets of my life, whether running coach, fitness coach, you name it. But it was from a place of, I don't want to say lack, but like it was a little out of integrity in the sense of like, I was handing my power to this person and I wasn't actually looking from within. And then in terms of like operating as a business owner out of integrity, I'm struggling to come up with a time. I'm sure there is a time. I'm not saying I'm perfect by any means. I think I can just remember such a clear conversation with a mentor last September. I was launching my old mastermind space. And I said to her, like, I don't ever want to come across as like, out of integrity. I don't want to be like manipulative with my marketing. And I was just having this moment of like, I want to make sure I'm so transparent. Like, I don't want to overpromise. And she's like, the fact that you're even bringing this up means that you're more integrity than most of the people out there. And I was like, well, that's not enough for me to be better than most of the people out there. It needs to feel good for me. And so we really dissected and got into that. And from a place of like, I was talking a lot about, I think this is a juicy conversation to get into, about income in terms of this is what we scale to in this container. And I was like, this is the outcome, the greatest deliverable outcome that I help so many clients with in my private spaces. And I know that I have the skills to get them there, but I can't promise that to everyone because I don't know where they started from. And so like, how do I actually make this messaging feel good for me and feel an integrity for me? And so I'm sure there's messaging out there where it maybe was a little out of integrity or it felt like that didn't feel good, but it's like the reason why is probably because I'm so worried about that.
Yeah. And I think that that's such a good point too, especially when it comes to the financial part of this. And I know that we all have it and it's not about shame, right? It's not like I can go back in my feed right now and be like, what the hell was I doing?
Cringe.
What
Like,
was I
what the
doing?
fuck?
Like, why did I do that? And I know why I did it. It was based out of fear. It was based out of lack. It was based out of me wanting to say the thing that the person, this is another thing too, is that a lot of times we get out of integrity when we try too hard to meet the person where they're at. And what I mean by
Yep.
that is like marketing of like, you can make 15K a month is very juicy because that's what the person thinks that they're looking for. And so when somebody sees that, it pulls them in very quickly. And so then we have to kind of find that balance of like, okay, but what does this actually look like? What is the actual deliverable? What is the actual outcome? And so that's when like, we can fall in and out. And I know for me, whenever I feel out of integrity and out of alignment in my business, it is when I'm marketing more towards like what everyone thinks that they want. Right. And
Yes.
so I have to find that line of like, you can go through any course and it's like, you can't give too much education, but it's like, you can't do the education all the time. And I lean towards that. I'm a teacher. I'm an educator. It's what I do. Right. I like literally train people like to do what I do. So it's my default, but also I feel like the more I can empower my listeners, my readers, my, followers, wherever, more I can empower them to see an identity that they have for themselves that they actually want to get out of, then that's my marketing. Like
I
it
love
doesn't
that.
have to be that flashy. Like it's like, I want you to see yourself and I want you to see the change that you want, not the change that I tell you can experience.
Uh-huh.
Now I do sprinkle that in there. Of course, like, it's all about that, but more so I want to educate people on why they are where they are and how they can change it. And that's what's in integrity for me. But I do fight that line of not that I'm just someone who doesn't follow my integrity. It's also very hard to know when it's out of integrity till after it's done, right? Sometimes it's like, okay, I posted that and you're like, well, yeah, maybe I did post out a little bit too much to play off of a bit of a trend or a fear or to get fast money, honestly. Mm-hmm.
So I think before we even go further, it's like, can we talk about what we believe integrity is? Because I think
Mm-hmm.
the word gets thrown around so much. It's like, what actually does integrity mean to you?
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, it's like, I do what I say I'm going to do. and I am who I say I am. And it's like, I like to give examples to clients of like being in integrity is I tell you that I'm going to give hands-on support and I define what that looks like. I'll be in Telegram every single Monday from 10 to 4. That doesn't mean I respond to one message in Telegram. That means that I'm in there having a conversation with you, giving you hands-on tactical support, asking questions to help you arrive at your own answers, grounded because I'm also a mentor. I coach first, mentor second. I also grounded in my experience because for me, in my transformation, that has helped me so significantly. I arrive at my own answers, but then there's been times my mentor's been like, you know what? I still wobble too. And it's like, oh, I'm not alone. Like other people have been in this too. And it's like, we're all humans. We all desire empathy and to feel less alone. And so just some of that has helped me tremendously. And so integrity, I could go on about what I believe integrity to be, but I would love to hear from you just because I think that word is such a buzzword. It's like be in integrity. It's like, what the fuck does that mean to
Yes.
you?
Yes. And then the one thing I would add, like, so yes, I agree with everything that you have there. And of course, I'm going to come back to skill. And
Yes.
then, so like, I am who I am. I do what I say, and I have the skill to back it. Because
Yes.
a lot of times we can say, I am what I am and I do what I do. And
But
then
it
it's
ain't
like,
good.
but it's not very good,
But you ain't
but
very good, honey.
it's really not what I need to be doing. It's not my skill. I haven't invested in my skill. I haven't done these
Yes.
things. And I say that so much because I do have the, I do listen to coaching calls and then I give feedback on those coaching calls and I train on those coaching calls. And I hear all the time people who they're just almost there, almost to that level of skill, but it's just not quite there to create that level of transformation and hold that space. And there's nothing wrong with that because all of that can be taught. You just have to be willing to admit it. And most people aren't. Their egos get in their way and they're like, no, I know what I need to know. I already have a certification. I already have this, or I already have that. And it's like, but there's a lot of damage. I just read it today and I can't quote it directly, but basically what it was saying was, you should never follow a teacher who has never had the lived experience and doesn't have the skill to walk you through that lived experience, because there's two sides to it. We have this idea of like, with integrity, we have this idea that just because you've done something and you have to have the lived experience. And that's what, if you look around, if you're watching all these people with lived experience, but no skill on how to actually walk you through that lived experience, there's a big difference. Just because you've had surgery one time does not mean you can become a surgeon, right? That is,
Yes.
because you have trauma does not mean you can be a therapist. Just because you have trauma does not mean you can be a trauma-informed coach because you read 2 self-help books. That's not what this is, right? That's what it really gets down to. You can have the lived experience, but we have to have the integrity in our lives to say, I have the lived experience. Now I'm going to develop the skill, because I want that skill to be duplicated. I want to be able to lead someone through that. So when I think about integrity, adding on to what you said, it's that part right there. It's now I've came to that realization with myself that I need more skill so I can actually guide people through something that I've lived myself.
I think this is so powerful, and it's there. I think this is also backed. It's ego and shame, right? So people show up and it's ego saying, I have this because I want the desired outcome of having people in my spaces and I'll learn as I go. And I think that's a little bit out of integrity without the transparency there. And then there's the people there that are like, continuing to do certifications and trainings. And it's like, I continue to educate myself. I've done 2 or 3 coaching certifications. I coach teams of 50 now at my VP role. I've been asked to do that. And I personally mentor 2 executives now at my company because of this. But I think it's like, I still, even as recent as early this year, took another certification because I desire like continue to learn, right? And so it's learn and implement. It's not just learn. And I think this is what I was going to say. It came back to me. I think a lot of people come in and they take a masterclass or a training and then they come in, regurgitate the information and they haven't implemented yet. And it's not bad to take masterclass and be like, oh, this makes sense for me. But one of the biggest things that I've made a change in my business is I no longer learn something and then tell everyone and be transparent. Like whenever I did this, I'd learn something and be like, hey, I wanted to share with all of you. I learned this. It's great. I'm going to implement it. I'll let you know how it goes. I now implement first and then I share with them because I think it just comes through such a different lens and it feels more aligned in integrity for me to do so. But I think it's like the pendulum swing again. It's like you need to actually back yourself with the skill set and the embodiment before you can implement and teach people. and
Yeah.
charge for that.
Exactly. And charge for that. Exactly. And people get in this society, like, don't even get me started on the saying, charge your worth. Because like we can never charge what we're worth. Like that's not a thing. Like I could charge $1
Oh,
or I could charge $1 million, and neither
yes.
one of those define who I am. It doesn't matter. I'll work for free and it still doesn't define who I am. And
Yes.
I'm a highly skilled and qualified person, right? We get to make those choices ourselves. But when it comes to like money, we're so stuck on like, if you're not charging, this many figures or you look like this, then you're not going to be seen as the expert. And it's like, you're not the expert. You shouldn't be seen as the expert. You are the beginner, and you have to go through the process. When I first started coaching, I went back and looked at some of my things. When I first started coaching, I think it probably evened out to like, I don't know, like $19 an hour is probably what I was charging people. Maybe even less than that. Maybe it was like 11, but it was definitely not over 25. And do you know why? It wasn't because I wasn't a good coach. It was because I just started. It was because I
Yeah.
was learning, and because I needed that experience, because I needed to do those things. But that's not what people do now. They think that they become a coach or a mentor and they're going to charge, $6,000 an hour. And it's like, for what? For what?
For your
And
beautiful face.
exactly. Like for what? Like, don't even get me started on that one either. But like, okay, there is skill there. And it doesn't have to come directly from like being on a coaching call. Like you have a lot of indirect skills that were built as a coach and mentor in your corporate job. And so it doesn't mean that now I'm saying you have to have 2 years of coaching before you can charge a lot. It means that you have to hone those skills and develop that experience in a way that actually is supportive for the other person. And what's an integrity for you as a buyer and also as the seller and as the coach and as the mentor. I think those are things that are massive.
I think one thing that you said there too is like time does not equate skill set either. Like
Mm-hmm.
I see business owners be like, I've been online for 15 years. Like I'm obviously better than you. And it's like, honey, we don't know where you started. We don't know where you are. Like that does not equate your worth again, or your value or your skill set. Some people can collapse time and literally become the most incredible whatever XYZ in 6 months because of their past life and skill set and what they've done. And so it's like, it's stop looking at things linearly. Like business and life are not linear. And so it's like, where are you right now? And I think just in integrity is just to stop looking outside yourself, period, at like what she's doing. Because what happens is people, you mentioned this earlier in our conversation, people come into your spaces and they start building someone else's vision board or version of success. And it's like, are you actually happy? Is that actually what you want? Do you actually want 50K months? Like, what are you going to do with that? Like, is it just because it's this arbitrary number? No, you want the feeling of what you think that's going to feel like. And you can actually have that now if you look within. And it's like, I've had that now. I've had that 1 year ago. And it has nothing to do with the amount of money that I'm making. But it goes without saying that money does solve a lot of problems. And so when you have a certain amount and you're comfortable and you're not worried about your bills and you can go take trips and do what you want, it's like, okay, then. And so I think it's just like we get so obsessed with more, more, more. It's like, what about right now and working on what actually matters?
Exactly, because it doesn't matter what that number is. If you're not happy now, you won't be happy then. You'll just have a bigger bank account and you'll have less stress when it comes to money, but you won't have that deep inner peace. You won't have that feeling of that known self. You'll still be reaching and reaching and reaching for something outside of you if that's how you're being driven. And I
Yes.
know that there's a lot of that identity work within your business, and there's definitely that identity work within my business, right?
Yes.
That's what my whole model is on that. And it's like, and you become really well known, or you become known yourself, then everything starts to change. And then when you hit that number, it's not scary. Now it's like, well, I
Uh-huh.
have this 50K. It doesn't define me. It doesn't even matter. Honestly, I was
Yeah.
just as happy when I made 5K or $500. Like that's what we're talking about here, of that deep inner work of integrity. But you have to be able to kind of like bring this back together and bring this around, is like this idea that we have to be really, know ourselves, know what integrity is for us, and know what we're listening to and who we're listening to it from. So if you're somebody who is looking to hire a coach, definitely listen to what we've talked about. If you're looking for a coach and mentor, because these are some like red flags, if you will, the red flags that we put out there for you to notice. And then, and to be able to make that decision for yourself. Am I buying this from fear, from lack, because I think they have an answer for me that I know I have for myself? Or am I buying this because I actually do believe it's going to collapse my time, and because I know that they have the skill to help collapse my time, and I'm not just throwing 25, 50K at somebody? And the other side of that, if you are a coach or a mentor and you're starting to find yourself out of that lack of integrity, again, go back and listen to all this. Like listen to what we've talked about, because this is what you can align with that level of integrity with yourself. And we can have like what, Annie and I've been talking about kind of sprinkled throughout here, those not this time moment. And not this time I don't buy out of fear. Not this time I don't lead out of fear. But it works on both
Yes.
sides of this line. So what would you say about that, Annie? How would you wrap this conversation up?
Sure. So I think it's like, just if you've operated out of integrity, that doesn't mean you're a bad person. There's so much shame associated with that. It's like when you know better, you can do better. So this conversation, it's like, do better, be a better person, and hold yourself to that higher standard. You're allowed to raise the bar at any time. And so we're not shaming our past selves. We're actually growing and bringing awareness to the situation so that you can do better. I actually recently created a post on this is how I invest, and it wasn't to show a shiny number or anything. It was to show my personal growth of like, if you have been there, I've been there too. I've done these things. And it's like we can grow and learn together and stop letting it shame you into fear of being stuck. It's like you can actually choose to raise that bar at any time. And so, yes, wholeheartedly, it's just bringing more awareness to this conversation of what it means to be an integrity and being an integrity leader and working with an integrity leaders. And also, not shaming yourself for past decisions, because they are always, always lessons learned, whether it's I want to be more like this or I absolutely do not want to run my business that way. And that's just life, period. And so recognizing that it all culminates together. So this has just been so delicious, and I adore you as a human.
I'm so excited. And I want to add one more thing to that, because
Sure.
I think sometimes, shame is such an operating system, and we have a very common saying. You just said it. We know better, we do better. I actually like to switch that around. We know more, we do differently, because it's like, that's what that saying is. And that's how you said it,
Yes.
right? That was the message of what you were saying. But sometimes
Yes.
we get caught on, if it's better, then that means what we did wasn't good enough. And then our brain has
Uh,
a really fun filled day with that one. And so it's like, no, I know more now. I'll do differently next time. I'll do differently
yes.
with the more I know. And so it kind of changes that texture and that energy. And your brain can't really argue. Your subconscious mind can't really fight that one as much, right? It's just
Like,
like,
you're right.
it's like, okay, that sounds good. Let's do that.
Let's roll with it.
Exactly. Right. And so one of those kind of, subtle things that, our fun subconscious mind does. So this has been such a fun conversation. I've
Oh,
loved
so
having
good.
you on. I couldn't think of anyone better to talk about integrity with. So thank you so much for being here with me. And will you let people know where they can find you?
Absolutely. You can find me at Ann Whitney _ on Instagram. And I would love to have a conversation with you about integrity, any of the things. I am an open book if you didn't feel that from me today. And Kayla, I respect you so much. You are an incredible leader and human being. And I can't wait to squeeze you in person sometime soon.
So soon. So soon. Hopefully we'll figure it out. But
We
all right,
are.
guys, thanks so much. We'll
All
see you
right.
next week.
Much love.
Okay, how freaking good was that? So this conversation around integrity, skill, and real leadership has been on my heart for a while. And I'm so glad that I was able to help name it clearly with Annie. She is so amazing at that. But I wanted to tell you that if you're a coach, a mentor, or someone who wants to become one, and you're craving not just the titles, but you actually want the skill that we talked about today in this episode, the one that actually you can lead from this powerful transformations, and you can do it with integrity, and you can do it with the skill like I talked about. This is where we can go deeper. So if you want to jump on a call to explore what that coaching mastery certification looks like, I would love to see if this is the right fit for you in your next steps in your journey. And if you're already a coach and you want to take your experience and your skills that you already have to the next level, I'd really love to support you in becoming internationally accredited through the IAPCNM. I'm the US ambassador, so I'm going to be able to walk you through everything that you need to know and how it works and how we can get you accredited right now. So I'm going to drop the links below, and let's have that real conversation about what's next for you.